Attaining to a higher and more desirable spiritual estate. The petty tyrant versus the peacemaker. In paper 48 of the Urantia Book, The Urantia Life, there are to be found 28 principles. The last of these principles states, the argumentative defense of any proposition is inversely proportional to the truth contained. There are two levels of interpretation of the meaning of this statement of philosophical principle, which arose out of personal experience and which I will share with you. Level 1. The first level of interpretation I experienced was at the level of the first 5 spirit adjutants of intuition, understanding, courage, knowledge, and counsel, in which I came to the realization that the more one has to argumentatively defend what one believes is truth, the less truth it usually and likely contains. Everywhere you go offline and on, you almost always encounter individuals who are seemingly driven to argue with you, find fault, become your detractor, are compelled to correct you, act as attack dogs for a group, belief system, organization, individuals in authority and so-called sacred books, thus originating out of the self-imprisoning fear of a fragile ego. They seek to inflate their false reflection of self in the mind's mirror as justified and self-righteous, but in reality they are just one more in a long line of petty tyrants every time they seek to and often achieve successful domination over their fellow human beings. The majority of individuals, again, fearing to oppose such small-minded bullies, allow their free wills to be dominated whenever these individuals are present, thus giving their power to the feeding of the self-aggrandizement of the petty tyrant. And once these small-minded petty tyrants experience how readily they may dominate and rule over individuals and groups, the self-inflating grasp for increasing power never ends. They will likely end their lives ever arguing and ever dominating others, even to the last gasp of air they breathe in at the moment of death. At the level of the 5 senses interpretation of this principle, there is no real grasp of the concept that the more you have to argue for, defend what you believe is truth, the less truth what you believe is likely to contain. Responding to the spirit influence of adjutant mind, there is a grasp of the basic concept, but no real spiritual grasp of the values of truth, beauty, and goodness, which one must experience and manifest in the act of questioning and then stopping oneself from arguing for and defending what one knows is truth. The final realization before entering into true wisdom discernment of this principle is the actual spiritual grasp of the internal knowing that truth never needs to be defended. Moral reminder: whether you are wrong or whether you are right, you are still wrong, as long as you continue to argue in defense of what you believe is the truth. Level 2. The second level of interpretation arises out of the final 2 spirit adjutants of worship and wisdom and the unification of all 7 of the adjutant mind spirits in human experience, in which it is revealed that the argumentative defense of any proposition is inversely proportional to the truth contained, is an equation, a state of experientially achieved equilibrium, inner peace, in which the truth no longer need be defended, because truth, beauty, and goodness have become manifest in the life of the spirit-born and spirit-led child of the Paradise Father as actualities. When the individual has achieved this state of inner equilibrium, he or she has attained to true peace, happiness, joy, and increasing nobility, integrity, loyalty, and trustworthiness as both a planetary citizen of Urantia and a local universe citizen of Nebadon. Jesus of Nazareth attained to this state of character perfection, true character, by the time of his baptism in the Jordan by John the Baptist. Wisdom dictates that there quickly comes a point in each and every encounter and interaction with others in which spiritual discernment, in the presence of the indwelling thought controller, perceives the correct course of either communicating further in the asking of questions to draw another person out, or to cease communication when there is no further spiritual progress possible. In practical application, the principle of the argumentative defense of any proposition is inversely proportional to the truth contained, dictates the course of silence. When you discern the mind consciousness of the other will only result in further argumentativeness, personal attacks upon your character, and even possible violence originating with the other person. Moral reminder: whether you were right or whether you were wrong, you are still right, as long as you continue to be the living embodiment of what you know is the truth. Why Jesus of Nazareth remained silent. Then said Jesus to Pilate, "Do you not perceive that my kingdom is not of this world? If my kingdom were of this world, surely my disciples would fight that I should not be delivered into the hands of the Jews. My presence here before you in these bonds is sufficient to show all men that my kingdom is a spiritual dominion, even the brotherhood of men who through faith and by love have become the sons of God. And this salvation is for the Gentile as well as for the Jew." "Then are you a king after all?" said Pilate. And Jesus answered, "Yes, I am such a king. And my kingdom is the family of the faith's sons of my Father who is in heaven. For this purpose was I born into this world, even that I should show my Father to all men and bear witness to the truth of God. And even now do I declare to you that everyone who loves the truth hears my voice." Then said Pilate, half in ridicule and half in sincerity, "Truth. What is truth? Who knows?" Pilate was not able to fathom Jesus' words, nor was he able to understand the nature of his spiritual kingdom. But he was now certain that the prisoner had done nothing worthy of death. One look at Jesus face to face was enough to convince even Pilate that this gentle and weary but majestic and upright man was no wild and dangerous revolutionary who aspired to establish himself on the temporal throne of Israel. Pilate thought he understood something of what Jesus meant when he called himself a king, for he was familiar with the teachings of the Stoics, who declared that the wise man is king. In remaining silent and not giving answer to Pilate's half-ridiculing question, "Truth, what is truth? Who knows?" Jesus embodied the 28th principle of the argumentative defense of any proposition is inversely proportional to the truth contained. Jesus was the embodiment of truth, beauty, and goodness, the perfect manifestation of the Paradise Father's personality and the fulfillment of the Paradise Father's will on earth. The truth needs no defense. Achieving the state of consciousness of being conscious. Number 1. Becoming aware of what I call the observer state, a state of being conscious, in which you willingly give increasing power to this observer within you to cast light upon every dark and shadowy thought and habit reaction pattern. In becoming aware of the origin of where a thought and habit reaction pattern takes origin and rises up from and into awareness, the observer spiritually, intuitively knows its origin, whether it is coming from the body, the mind, the spirit, or the mid-mind soul level of consciousness. We victimize ourselves with much wasted energy on many useless thoughts and habit reaction patterns. This key to which I am referring is the act of converting potentials, stimulus response, into actuals, uprooting an inferior habit reaction pattern and replacing it with a superior one. This, of course, is easy to say, but most challenging to act upon and complete. The most deeply rooted, dark and shadowy thoughts taking origin in the material energy body may only usually be uprooted in small steps, one at a time, and over the course of one's life. Number 2, it is this making of great effort at small refinements that directly leads to the sudden realization one day of having achieved a high degree of constant peace, happiness, joy, and relative character perfection, true character. Is not this highly desirable spiritual estate the great goal of human attainment, the kingdom of heaven, light and life, as if already an immortal Son living in the presence of the Father on paradise? If you agree, why is it we continue to struggle with allowing the indwelling presence of the Paradise Father to assist us in rising above the need to perpetually defend what we currently believe is the truth? It is sometimes possible to have the mind illuminated, to hear the divine voice that continually speaks within you, so that you may become partially conscious of the wisdom, truth, goodness, and beauty of the potential personality constantly indwelling you. But your unsteady and rapidly shifting mental attitudes often result in thwarting the plans and interrupting the work of the adjusters. Their work is not only interfered with by the innate natures of the mortal races, this ministry is also greatly retarded by your own preconceived opinions, settled ideas, and long-standing prejudices. We are each of us both truly unique and truly equal before the sight of our Paradise Father. Self-control and self-mastery. The 28th principle embodies the achievement of the pinnacle of self-control and self-mastery, even in the face of assaults on one's personal character. Always remember, when you know the truth, are living the truth, and speak the truth never needs to be defended. It is inimical, feeling unnatural to be the peacemaker, to remain silent when you are experiencing the personal attack of another, and especially when your true character is being defamed in the presence of a group of individuals who see what is happening and know what is right, but are too fearful to step forward and put a stop to the actions of a petty tyrant. Ever be mindful that it is not our place to judge our fellow brothers and sisters, the children of our Paradise Father. Judgment belongs to those who act in the Heavenly Father's behalf. Judge not that you be not judged. Accordingly will you also be judged in the mirror of your own self-righteousness. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall inherit the earth.